Johnny Depp has a fragrance called Savage, pronounced Sauvage. If Chris D'Elia had a fragrance, it would be called Underage.
There's Eric! There's Eric! Welcome to Into the Bapaverse. It's me, Hectic. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and yes, why did I stop? Here's the reason why. Obviously, I was making them too long. I kind of burned myself out and needed a little bit of a break from Bapa. Honestly, covering him every weekend or every end of the week, it was very exhausting for me. Honestly, I was getting tired of it, but I'm bringing it back. I'm changing the way that I do it. I'm making it a little bit more shorter just so it won't be so long and having to edit it and all that. So I'm changing it so it'll be a lot easier, and then I could also do more of them throughout the week, maybe 2 of them, and then have clips and also separate solo videos as well as these. But anyways, if you're new to the Into the Bapaverse, all we do is we go into the Fighter and the Kid subreddit, and I check out the top rated what are they called, posts. All right, so let's get started. So apparently Chris D'Elia has been a big focal point for the subreddit, and that's because of new allegations. So I'll play the TFATK, the Rolling Stones video for you guys. He definitely explains it way better. We'll just watch a little bit of it.
Rolling Stone released an exclusive article. They published it to their website, in which 10 women told Rolling Stone that the 42-year-old comedian and failed podcaster left them traumatized. The FBI is actually looking into this shit right about now. D'Elia, of course, denies all of the allegations. Of course he would. Now, 10 women claiming...
So like, FBI is looking into it. D'Elia obviously denies it. Also, his wife denies it. Now wife denies it. Back then she wasn't, and she knew even before then, still denied it. The chick that was abused has come out and said her story. She also kind of blames herself for being so desperate and emotional that she kind of fell into Chris D'Elia's palms. The palm of his hands.
Comedian Chris D'Elia preyed on them, and he is quoted, "Do everything I say," end quote. Let's get into this. All right, so this chick named Jasmine Wolf was visibly uncomfortable. Now, she's sitting in the driver's seat of her car in an open parking lot. The 28-year-old female's looking around, and she draws a quick breath, and she glances over at her cell phone, which is perched on the dashboard of her car, recording herself. Awaiting a reply on the other end of the device was comedian Chris, the Diddler D pedophilia, who Jasmine says had instructed her to send over an explicit video of herself in public view. Now, Jasmine only had a few seconds to comply, because if she didn't send over the video footage fast enough, she knew that Chris D'Elia would become furious, and she had already told the Diddler that she wasn't comfortable being in plain sight of passerbyers nude and in public. So D'Elia said, "I don't care." Minutes after, a nervous-looking Jasmine stares into the camera while wringing her hands, and she's quoted, "It doesn't matter if I'm feeling sad or I'm feeling pouty. It should have been about you, and I'm sorry." She says this back in November of 2021, which the video was recorded back then and reviewed by Rolling Stone. Jasmine claims that the apology was actually scripted by the Diddler himself, Chris D'Elia, who was angry that she dared to push back against his request. Okay, so it looks like the two lovebirds had met back in March of 2020, in which Jasmine was responding to one of the Diddler's Instagram stories during the early days of the pandemic. Now, she was familiar with the Diddler through the sitcom Whitney, starring Whitney Cummings, you know, the unfunny comic, and had recently finished the 2nd season of You, which I believe is on Netflix, in which Chris D'Elia guest starred in. Now, she's cooped up at home in Canada, of all places, and recently separated from her husband, who she was still living with for the sake of their young daughter. Now, Jasmine describes needing some sort of distraction in her life, and a one-off message to an attractive comedian seemed harmless. So within minutes...
So, as I said, that's from what I remembered. She was very emotional, very much looking for some sort of physical connection, and Chris D'Elia happened to be there, and she saw this TV show with him and Whitney. She found him attractive and basically scouted him because she was from Canada all the way to LA. So
minutes, of course, Chris D'Elia responds to her, and Jasmine says that the conversation quickly moved to Snapchat. By the end of the day, the diddler had requested nude photographs, of course, and Jasmine obliged. At this point, to Jasmine, it almost felt like destiny or fate, and Jasmine says of their budding relationship, particularly because Chris D'Elia had allegedly explained he was in a similarly constrained situation with his partner, Kristen Taylor, who is his current wife and mother to his children right now. So Jasmine claims that the diddler said he was only living with Kristen Taylor for the sake of their newborn. They spoke constantly every day, sending Snapchat videos back and forth, and she's quoted stating, "I really needed something positive in my life, and it seemed like this was it. I had somebody who seemingly could relate so much to what I was going through in my life," end quote. Now, it wouldn't be until June of 2020 that Jasmine learned the seemingly spontaneous way she came to know the diddler mirrored the claims of many other women. So that month, a woman named Simone Rossi kicked off an outpouring of allegations.
Yeah, but it's just listening to that, it's like it's hard to be on her side because she did this to herself, but obviously she didn't deserve the treatment from D'Elia in that form of way. And her lack of judgment, him still being with his girlfriend and also having a child with her, didn't really let her, didn't make her back out of the relationship. And so I'm pretty sure some people that are watching this are like, oh man, so stupid, right? But the thing is, yes, dumb, but the worst thing about it is Chris abusing this chick, even though she was desperate and lonely, and he took advantage of that, right? So yes, they're both wrong, but Chris, he's basically like Spider-Man at this point, and he has no Uncle Ben to tell him with great power comes great responsibility.
Against the diddler on Twitter, pointing out the irony in Chris D'Elia playing a comedian who preys on underage girls in Netflix's You TV series, when she claimed he had messaged her for photos when she was 16 years old. Soon after, dozens of women began sharing stories anonymously of their alleged encounters with the diddler,
Yeah, and that's also another problem. Him contacting 16-year-olds is a big problem. And in the Chris D'Elia problem documentary, the chick that was exposing him, and she's still like anonymous throughout the whole documentary, she was kind of getting vibes from him that he wanted younger girls, and he was very sex depraved.
I want to believe the things that were online, but there were certain ones that I knew, just based on the things that they were saying that Chris had them do, the way he talks, like there were things that he had said to me verbatim, and so I recognized immediately the ones that I knew for certain were true. But then it got to the point where I actually learned of girls who had been with him from the point that they were underage to adulthood.
And was that girls that you were talking to and stuff during that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that he had you in contact with?
Yeah, personally. One of them was 16 when they first started talking, and they ended up in a long-term relationship.
Yeah, not very good. Not very good at all.
He said sought them out as teens and young women on social media, soliciting nudes from them and making unwanted sexual advances. Now, both the LA or Los Angeles Times and the Daily Beast ran initial reports containing interviews with some of the accusers, and even CNN followed up with a piece that had allegations of Chris D'Elia exposing himself to women over the years. And the diddler, of course, vehemently denies all these allegations at the time, and and he actually released email exchanges between himself and some of his accusers in which his attorney claimed exonerated him, but clearly it hasn't. But Jasmine's story diverges from theirs in that she stayed in contact with Chris D'Elia, going on to have what she describes as an emotionally abusive, manipulative, and controlling relationship with the comic until last year. Their relationship took place mostly online, communicating constantly through disappearing messages on Snapchat, because you can't screen record, remember? According to...
Yeah, that was a big one. The biggest moment in Chris D'Elia's existence online is him and the Fighter and the Kid, a podcast, and they were running through like stories, or what are they called, current events. There's like a story about a teacher being intimate with a student, and the mom figured out what they were doing, and the kid pretty much screenshotted the pictures, and he and Chris was wondering, like, how did she get the pictures, because don't the pictures on Snapchat like get deleted? And then the cat, the former assistant there on the Fighter and the Kid podcast, she was like, oh well,
the boy's mother ended up finding it.
Finding it? What do you mean? Snapchat goes away, right? How they...
The kid screenshotted it, and he was like, and he had the biggest O face. He's like, oh shit.
You can screen record, take screenshots.
Wow.
You got to know that that's gonna happen. Some people do some crazy shit.
Then after that, it was starting to come down for Chris after that point in time. So very funny to bring that up again.
Because
well, I'll stop that there. There's more. You guys can watch it yourselves. Let's go back to the subreddit. I give you enough information so you guys can understand the Chris D'Elia problem, the problem he's having right now during these last 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. So let's go from the top. Now we can get back to the subreddit here. This says, I'm going to take a wild guess and claim that Chris recorded the latest Golden Hour episode on the day the expose came out. And this is in this episode he was really looking at his phone, and he's always telling other people, are you on your phone? Why are you on your phone? And then this time, the guys didn't really call him out for that, and he was very, very squirrely. Here's somebody posting a compilation of Chris checking his phone. It says with 1.3 uploads, Chris checking his phone during the Rolling Stones Re-Cancelation compilation. Alright, so I'm gonna mute this because it has music, so I'll put some other music on top of it. So that's the article from the Rolling Stones, May 16th. He keeps checking his phone. The article is so good, he just has to keep reading it. That's how much of a narcissist he is. He's like, it's bad, but it's about me. I gotta look at this. I gotta know what they're saying about me. Is it true? Yeah, it's kind of true. The Snapchat thing. He's like, I did make that face when I found that Snapchat. I found that Snapchats can get screenshotted. Like, hopefully none of those chicks in my cult figured out that they can screenshot my Snapchats. He's like, hell no, no way, no way. Take nigga, take. Tig Notaro is her name. She took over his spot in the Army of the Dead. Got digitally replaced. I mean, it's also it's very obvious he's not even like texting. He's just holding his phone and reading stuff, and then like he just has a slight push down with his fingers. He's scrolling, you know. Then he's probably texting. You know what? He's probably texting his girl, his ride or die. He's like, "Honey, it's happening again." Let's look at the top comment here. Lion Whiskey Deliver says, with almost 850 upvotes, it says, imagine seeing headline news about yourself being a creep pederast. You focus in on the Rolling Stones cover picture of you, and the bolded words of the headline makes your blood stop moving in a jolt of disbelief. And the warm adrenaline hug of you just fucked up settles in. As your bearings begin to stabilize, you suddenly realize you have played along with Eric and Brenda on the show you never saw as your future. You hear Brenda slurring his words, talking about Cox again, but the warm adrenal hug continues to pulsate inside as you need to know more about the mainstream outing you've caught yourself in. In that moment, time slows down. Brenda's Jabba the Hutt laugh plays quietly behind focused thoughts of where you went wrong. You are the diddler. Very nice guy. Mr. Shape says, that's why this sub is better than any soap opera or drama series ever written. I've literally been entertained for years. You can't write this stuff. Honestly, these guys are living in the Truman Show, and this Truman happens to be a diddler. And, you know, it's very messed up. It's a very messed up storyline here. Here's another one with Chris D'Elia with 1.2 thousand upvotes. You gotta come from some sort of truth when you're making fun of somebody.
You gotta come from some sort of truth when you're making fun of somebody, right?
Chris D'Elia he's the embodiment of the dark arts. And people know it. And he knows it.
Chris D. Why does that name sound so familiar? And what does the D stand for? Disturbing? I'll tell you what's disturbing, Chris D.
New Year's resolution for Chris D'Elia. What do we think?
I say throw your phone in the ocean. Change your facial hair and throw your phone in the ocean.
Chris Hansen here of Hansen versus Predators. To catch a predator and have a seat with Chris Hansen, and I'm going to need you to have a seat right over there.
Obviously, he wasn't some bearded, long-haired white guy. Whoa, Chris, you spooked me there, is what those girls said.
We're still climbing out of a pandemic, Chris. You're still supposed to be socially distant, flattening the curve, not reaching out to inappropriately aged women, asking for pictures, text messages.
Johnny Depp has a fragrance called Savage, pronounced Sauvage. If Chris D'Elia had a fragrance, it would be called Underage.
There's Eric. Eric, this was probably before the time too. So, I don't know if is this now or is this before? When was this? I want to know when was this. I'll re-edit to let you know when this was. Hopefully it's right now, because the way he's looking at himself and looking at everybody else.
Yeah. It's rewind time.
It's like really, really weird and reactionary. And like, I mean, obviously he's associated with him. And a lot of people wonder and ask him, why are you on that show, man?
You're talking about, people think, it's funny, people think that about me now because of this podcast.
What do you mean?
So what I'm saying it's like, look.
They don't know Eric Griffin.
I'm saying it's like when people think money's involved in something, no matter how much money it is, they question your integrity, right?
Anyways, let's go back.
So clean up your act. And if you can, well, I'll let you go this one time. But you're not going to get a second chance here. Life choices, son. Life choices. I'll be watching.
Like, I'm doing better this year than I was last year. Fine, whatever. Oh, really, dude? Everyone's getting in trouble for what they say and what they do and not who they are. And that's a problem. Is it though?
I'm Chris Hansen. You know why you're here. I know why you're here.
Yeah.
It says right here you want to do this, that, and the other thing to a 13-year-old girl named Susan.
Oh, me? Oh, for sure, yeah.
What about a 14-year-old named Beth?
Yeah.
Oh, this is real?
A 12-year-old
No,
named
that's not real.
Betty.
Is
Who
it?
are you telling, bro?
The vast majority of women who find themselves in that situation are desperate, threatened, or victimized in some way that makes them vulnerable.
Yeah, I know. And you get sauteed.
So yeah. Honestly, if this is a real interaction with Chris Hansen, he nailed that. Like, that description of Chris is spot on of what he did. Very much weak, desperate, emotional women, easy to manipulate, and let them, make them do whatever you want. And that's what happened. Let's go to the top comment here. Almost 260 views. With almost 260 upvotes. Osaka AP. The new menu is spicy. Compliments to the chef. Jets Bama Fam says the spiciest beat. Mexican as fug. Here's a post with 1.2. The BGL Saga truly couldn't have gone more perfectly. BGL had already garnered a lot of hate here, deservedly so, but once he was let go from TFATK, he was desperate to out Brenda and thought coming here would be the best option. Well, it was uncomfortable letting him into this world. He provided dishes that we could never have seen or ever knew about had he not cooked them up. Immediately following all of this, BGL's life continued to go to shit after being busted for cheating, abuse, and showing his true colors as a complete narcissist. He was completely shunned by Changs once again as things fell back to normal. Basically, we reaped all the benefits of this man's life crisis and did so in a timely manner. Chef's kiss. So look, yeah, BGL a bit. Mark Harley, I have not seen him since then, since he was outed by his ex-wife. I don't know what their situation is now, but she showed a couple of videos, a couple of pictures of Mark Harley being abusive. Hard to deny some of those videos were, him clearly showing a different side of BGL that you don't want to see for anybody, like attacking his wife, for example, with the keys is a big one that I remember, because I remember covering that, and it was hard for me to watch.
He's in front of my car. He's touching my car now. He's picking up my car.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of people already felt like that was gonna come soon. Not the abuse, but Mark's downfall, because he went straight up to the top, and we thought he was somewhat a good dude, and then we found out that behind the scenes he was a shitty dude. Now let's look at the comments here. Fickle Trick 3937 couldn't have gone. Stop taking your grammar lessons from Papacito. Okay. just the grammar correction there. It's just them like it's just a bunch of people roasting his grammar, man. Come on, they didn't even talk about the substance. All right. Okay, let's end it with this one. With 1,000 upvotes. Burnt Chrysler and the Diddler catching strays from CEO.
Hey, is that a shirtless Burnt Chrysler over there? Yes, it is,
Dude,
Luke.
can we, like, I was driving my kid to work today. I was listening to my local sports station, and they were advertising, whatever, is there a movie with him? I don't know what it is. It's like, I don't understand why. I don't understand anything about him. Can I be honest about that?
All right. Well,
I just don't get it.
See,
I don't
know. Comedians are creepy to me in general, Luke. I don't know if you've read Rolling Stone lately. I mean, it's just gross. Let's keep this show moving forward. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Luke. Hey, is that a shirtless Burnt Chrysler over there?
I think it was a little bit uncalled for there. Bert, yes, as gross as he can be, pissing in cups and whatnot, and touching people's food and then touching his face, and wash and repeat without washing. Look, two different dudes. I think Chris's situation way worse. Bert, he has a movie coming out, and it's based off of his story that he told in the in his comedy stand-up special about him getting involved with the Russian mafia. And to be fair for Bert, with Bert, he changed the story. I'm sure it's not going to be exactly the same as what he told in his stand-up special. It's going to be a lot different, and from the look of the trailer, it looks really well made. And it's also from Legendary. They make a lot of good movies, generally. I don't see it being as, super big. Like, it's going to be like an Avengers size amount of money they're going to make. But I'm sure he's going to make a lot of money. He's got a really big fan base, a very diverse fan base. He's got the Midwest there that love him. And, he's a touring comic. From the amount of success he has, he's way more. He's far more successful than D'Elia will ever be, and D'Elia was trying to go that Hollywood route, right? He wanted to be a protagonist. He wanted to be a John Wick kind of character. Bert's path of success is what Chris wanted, to be the main man in a movie, and Bert is doing it. Congrats to Bert. I'm not a big hater like everybody else online. Granted, Bert gets annoying at times. You can see all his flaws, but the guy made it. He's a main star of the movie, and who knows how this movie is. Like, let's see how his acting is. It will make or break him in the future if they want to, carry out Bert in in another movie. We'll see that in the future. Brian, making a funny joke. I understand that. I'm not taking it so seriously. I'm just pointing out the differences in Bert and in Chris. Different paths. Same path, but different outcomes in life. Let's see the top comment for this one. Gringo Bloppy says, comedians are creepy to me in general. BCO preaching the gospel out here and getting the word out. Thank him. The BCEO. Yeah, so I'll end this right now, guys. Let me know what you guys thought of this. Which one was your favorite subject here, or the most interesting, or whatever your opinions or thoughts are. Give this a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
You got to come from some sort of truth when you're making fun of somebody, right?
Chris D'Elia he's the embodiment of the dark arts. And people know it. And he knows it.
Chris D. Chris D. Why does that
Chris
name
D.
sound so familiar?